Garten of Banban is a game I'm sure I do not have to introduce to anyone watching this video, because it seems that everybody has heard about this game. Not for good reasons though, but for the sake of this video, I'm going to introduce it anyways. Garten of Banban is a Mascot horror game that was released on the 6th of January 2023 by the Euphoric Brothers. Mascot horror is a genre that implements recognizable and memorable characters into a horror game. This genre was pioneered by the Five Nights At Freddy series with their iconic cast of characters and overall quality of creepiness. Garten of Banban, however, didn't exactly do anything amazing or even good to this genre, and if anything showed the truly dire state of the Mascot horror genre as a whole, with uninteresting characters, lack of any ambience, boring gameplay, and just not being scary in the slightest. So I'm here today to answer the question, how bad really is Garten of Banban? In this video we are strictly focusing on the first game, because it is free, and I don't really feel like paying almost £5 for the second one. Maybe in the future if you guys want to see me cover it in a separate video, but for now, I'm staying away from it. And yes, I'm aware of the fact that I am extremely late to the whole topic of this game. This video probably could have banged if I made it a few months ago, but I honestly don't care too much, because I wanted to give it some time to sit before giving my own opinions on it. Because maybe everyone was wrong, right? Maybe this game isn't bad, right? Maybe it's actually good. Yeah, no, it hasn't changed anything, this game still sucks, so let's just get to talking about why it's bad. To start off, the visuals are just a bit bland. I mean, like, I have no experience with game design whatsoever, so I actually don't know what in particular there is to pick out, but it's just so bland and boring. It's just rooms filled with furniture and wall art of characters, which I guess is fine, but it's just not all that interesting and doesn't set the best atmosphere for something that's supposed to be a scary game. But the characters, oh, the characters. The models of the characters just look god awful. Like, what are these Play-Doh looking ass monsters gonna actually do? I just seriously don't know what they were going for, to be honest. The two characters you encounter in the first game are Jumbo Josh and uhyeah Bird. I guess the only good thing I can say about uhyeah Bird is that the empty eyes could be a little unsettling, but even at that point I feel like I'm giving them too much credit, because overall uhyeah just looks wacky and just unscary as a whole. I mean, it's a pink Play-Doh bird. That's it. Considering this is the only threat that you encounter in terms of gameplay, it is really disappointing that there is not even a slight attempt to at least try to make uhyeah Bird scary. And it just makes the chase sequence pretty funny, if anything, seeing this goofy ass thing just hop all over to try and get you. Whilst we're on the topic of uhyeah, I want to mention their jump scare because wow, who would have guessed? It's not, like, good at all. It basically just opens its beak and screams at you, whilst the screen violently shakes. Like, okay. Dying in this game just left me staring at my screen in disappointment over anything. In fact, nothing even slightly startled me in this game, which it just isn't good for a game that's supposed to be scary. But I'm getting sidetracked now, so back to the characters. The second character you see is Jumbo Josh, what happens right before the game ends. Jumbo is once again another Play-Doh monster, but instead of being pink, he's green. There isn't even anything I can give the creators even a slight bit of credit for with Jumbo Josh, because there's nothing. He's just a big green blob with a face. Once again, there is nothing even remotely scary about him whatsoever. And I know I'm mentioning this a lot, but it's because this game is supposed to be scary. It's supposed to be a horror game. So how are they even hoping to make it fill that criteria, with not even the environment or characters filling the role, or giving an unpleasant experience? Well, actually, I guess they did succeed in giving me an unpleasant experience, but not in the way I wanted it to be. But maybe the audio is good, right? Maybe the ambience is really good. No. It's not. No. This game pretty much has no ambience at all. Like, nothing. Other than the occasional sound effect when you do something, there's literally nothing. This is really disappointing, because for a horror game, I feel like ambience is such a massive part, and it just doesn't even do anything with it. It feels like it doesn't even try to do anything with it. To contrast this, I feel like we should compare this to Five Nights At Freddy's, as it's also in the same genre of Mascot horror. FNAF has such good ambience, with the constant buzzing of the fan in the room, and the droning sounds that make you feel uneasy and unsafe. To add to this, sometimes the game plays sound effects that are strictly done just to try and throw off the player, such as when the carousel starts playing music that you can hear from your office. This can be really off-putting, as there's something else going on that hasn't happened before and you're not sure how to deal with it, but it's purely done just to throw you off. This is what separates good horror games from bad horror games. Or at least in my opinion. You can have good jump scares and great gameplay, but if there isn't proper ambience leading up to the jump scare to keep the player on the edge of their seat and really feel the true terror of something lurking, it just isn't going to be the same. Banban fails to create any tension or suspense, and instead settles for silence, which can work in certain situations. A good example of this would be in Doki Doki Literature Club during the day of the festival. This is the day that everything has been building up to, and the usual comforting music is entirely gone. This makes you feel uncomfortable as you're not sure why you have been left with nothing, and makes you feel like something is wrong. Serious hint at a game I may or may not be covering in the future. But having no ambience and environment to begin with, just to leave it that way throughout the entire 20-minute runtime of the game, is just poor, and leaves you with no tension or suspense at all, which adds to the already disappointing and unscary horror game. And yes, 20 minutes is the total playtime I have on this game. It really is so short, and there's nothing that you really even get from it. I mean, I had more fun running into chairs that were bouncing around the room because of some wacky physics. That was quite fun though, I will say. That was the only fun I had in this game. So surely there's nothing else that makes this game worse, right? I mean, it already sounds bad, but surely there's nothing else that could possibly ruin this game even more, right? The gameplay is mind-numbingly bad. It's not even funny. The drone mechanic has to be one of the worst gimmicks I've ever seen in a game ever. So on a basic level, you have a drone that you can move around by clicking on somewhere with your mouse, which flies the drone to where you clicked. In basic concept, this sounds pretty cool and could be pretty fun, but they made it so slow and painful to move this thing around to have to do anything, and literally all you do is make the drone fly into buttons to press them. That's it. To truly understand how long and boring it is to call the drone, press the location for it to move to, wait for it to turn and move in that direction, to waiting for it to be available to be moved again, really is. I'm just going to show you. Completely unedited footage. Have a look for yourself. Do you see what I mean now? It's so boring and so mind-numbing for this to be the only special gimmick for this game. Why does it have to be so slow and just to press buttons? Just so boring. I even tried to hit a peeler with my drone at some point, but sadly, it flew straight through them. Now to talk about my favourite part of the game, running into tables and chairs. Yes, I briefly mentioned this before, but let's dedicate a whole section to it, why not? Okay, so to do this successfully, you want to press the shift key, right? That'll make you run, okay? And just launch yourself into a chair. Just run it in and watch it bounce around the room. It's amazing. You know, this is such a good mechanic. I'm really happy that the creators took a lot of time to, you know, really perfect the physics of running into chairs and tables. I mean, it makes me happy, okay? You know, I love some bouncing chairs and tables. But unfortunately, we're gonna have to briefly mention the rest of the game now, so it's time to be sad again. Well, this news fest continues, because after hitting the 2 buttons to get out of the starting area, you have to do a fetch quest and shove some eggs down the peeler's throat to get a key card, which I'm going to briefly mention actually. I've seen people play the second game. That seems to be their gimmick. It's literally, if you need to do anything in this game, it's just you need to go and get a key card. It's just a fetch quest for key cards the whole time, it feels like. I just think it's a bit bland, you know. Anyways, yeah, after getting the key cards, you then get a tool to break planks to then match colors to the correct characters in the game. It just feels like so much filler to make it feel like it's actually a game that you can play. Once again, just so boring. There are some other things I could talk about, but I'm already tired of talking about this game, and I just want to end the video here. So how bad really is Garten of Banban? It's terrible. It's just terrible. It's Simply awful, some may say. Yeah. See what I did there? Well, that's all from me today then. Have a good day, evening, or night, wherever you are, and I'll see you in the next one.